Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Welcome to Subway Sports Talk. My name is Peter Kennedy, and I am your host. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning into SST on Apple Podcasts app, Spotify, and on YouTube. Joining me today, obviously, had to be our lead designated hitter, obviously being Andrew Calagna. So I don't know if you guys are aware of what's going on in New York sports that has nothing to do with basketball or football or hockey, but some things are happening in the baseball world. For now, in one particular part of town, Andrew, nothing's happening. Not yet. So, Andrew, we got deGrom gone. We have Aaron Judge in the air still. How are you? You just had a baby. You just moved. And now your pride and joy of the Yankees, Aaron Judge, may also be on the move. How are you feeling? Congratulations on the baby, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm ready to talk about the biggest departure in New York sports here, and that is, my friend, Artemi Panarin's goals this season so far. The Rangers, they stink. They absolutely stink. Even though they had a big win last night, come behind win. Panarin has stunk it up, and I'm ready for him to depart New York and get it together.
You know what? I was thinking to myself, where is he going to go with this? And you still got me. It was the goals that was the kicker. That was what got me. I know the Rangers have been a struggle, and amidst my 2 back-to-back shifts at WFAN this weekend, producing.
Nobody wanted to talk about the Rangers
overnight. No. Amidst all the talk about Jacob deGrom and Aaron Judge and the very big football weekend, there were some folks who still called in about the New York Rangers and the Devils and whatever. Which to those people, they might have said something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. No one cares about hockey, Boomer. But no. Obviously we're here to talk about baseball right now. We have to. We're in the middle of football season. Football is crazy right now. We just had a big weekend for New York football. And by big, I mean big bad, because they lost both the Giants and the Jets. We have basketball going, but whatever, we're 25 games in. It could wait. It's all about Judge right now. Even deGrom is old news at this point, even though we're going to touch on him in a little bit. So Aaron Judge, just to give you guys the context here, has not made anything clear yet. We don't know. Any reporter who's saying anything is probably just reading through the tea leaves at this point, because it's 10 p.m., 10:02 p.m. specifically on Tuesday night, December 6th. So if you're listening to this on Wednesday and something happened, or Thursday and something happened, well, what can I say? It hasn't happened yet, and we're sitting here.
And if something does happen, I'll definitely hop back on here, and we'll definitely break it down and talk about it. But we're not. But Judge did sign. Arson Judge signed with the San Francisco Giants, and I'm okay with that signing as a Yankee fan, because Aaron Judge is still a free agent. So Arson Judge can get his bag and go out to the Bay and do what he's got to do. But Aaron Judge, I'm really hoping that, that's all these years of Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman saying, hey guys, we got to lock up this core. We can't sign Bryce Harper. We can't sign Manny Machado. We can't sign X free agent. So we got to lock up this core. And Aaron Judge is the only member of this core that's still left. And if you let him walk, even if it is 10 years and $400 million, I don't know. Like, I'd be perfectly okay with any Yankees fan at that point just kind of throwing up their hands and saying, I'm not going to support this team right now, because frankly, and unless there's some kind of crazy pivot, which, but there's already pieces off the board here, significant pieces in Trey Turner and Justin Verlander, obviously going to the Mets, which is a great pivot for them.
Right.
There's not really, you're going to go get Carlos Correa then and Rondon, even though they should get Rondon in addition to Aaron Judge. I don't know. There's a lot of things up in the air, and all of Brian Cashman's comments and Aaron Boone's comments have been like, if he leaves, it'll suck. That's just like, what are we going to do? The ball's in his court, we would love to have it back. We want to make it hard for him to leave. Like, not sounding really confident at all that they're going to bring him back, or B, that he even wants to be back. I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, and that is where the parallel kind of stops and ends, I guess, between Jacob deGrom and Aaron Judge. You could obviously draw wider parallels about how they were the faces of franchises in New York and had incredible seasons, whatever. But specifically to this offseason, like that's really the parallel between the two is how much do they want to be here? How much do they want to stay in New York for deGrom the Mets, Judge the Yankees? Other than that, we're talking about a Cy Young from 3 or 4 years ago to an MVP that was an MVP last season, right? So it is a little bit different in that regard. So when Mets fans are coming out here and instantly saying, you know what? It was too much money. It was too long of a contract. I don't trust him to stay healthy. I'm okay with this, which I think was probably a little bit of a coping mechanism by a lot of Mets fans. It made sense, at least. I wasn't that far off of initial reaction. For Aaron Judge, on the other hand, every Yankee fan should be upset. And every Yankee fan who says they're not is lying to themselves and coping just like the Mets fans did when deGrom left. Because all a franchise ever does, their main goal when building a team is to get an Aaron Judge. And if you can get him homegrown, even bigger of a win. If you can draft an Aaron Judge who gives you year in, year out, as long as he's pretty healthy, an incredible season, you dream of it. You literally stay up all night as a GM scouting and trying your best to get an Aaron Judge. And you get him homegrown. You build him up. He's not just a great player. He's a great dude. You ever heard a bad thing about Aaron Judge other than a stupid comment that was not even a big deal that people brought up during this season in a post game? Like literally nothing bad around this guy. And if the Yankees do not retain the homegrown talent that is the best player in baseball, there is every reason for every Yankee fan to be absolutely pissed off. And that's why it's not super parallel to Jacob deGrom. Because we're talking about the best player in baseball right now. And we're talking about the best pitcher in baseball 2 years ago who still has it in him, but we don't know for how much longer. Right.
And that's the thing with the pivot of the Mets and going to Verlander is that you could realistically say that Justin Verlander and Jacob deGrom are going to put up similar numbers next year. That's not a crazy thing. What free agent out there is going to put up similar numbers to Aaron Judge next year? There isn't one. The closest is Brandon Nimmo, Carlos Correa, like not even in the same class as Aaron Judge. So if you lose that, God, I hate to know what the Yankee offense is going to look like next year without Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
I didn't like how the offense is going to look with Aaron Judge
with him,
now.
Right. It's not like they're
at the
perfect
moment.
with him. So we have a lot to talk about with the Yankees. We really do. And we want to try to set this up in such a way that it helps us just in case, something breaks out on Twitter in the next 30 minutes while we're recording this. So we are going to talk a little bit about the Mets here, but we are going to talk about the Yankees at large and not just Aaron Judge. So we're going to talk about it. Obviously, we're going to talk about Aaron Judge. Don't you guys worry about that at all. It's going to be the biggest talking point here. But it's important to talk about the entire situation here because it's not just about him at this point. We're talking about a team that whether or not they bring him back is still full of holes. When Aaron Judge signs, or if Aaron Judge signs back with the Yankees, it doesn't change the offense much from last year still. There's still a lot of things to get better at. They still don't particularly have a closer, right? And the Mets, on the other hand, don't really have anybody in the bullpen at all on the roster right now. So both of these teams have holes to fill. The Mets already got Verlander. We know this. We can talk about it. We already did a little bit. But the Judge thing, Drew, that I want to bring up before we start bouncing around a little bit more. Is it hyperbolic to say that no matter what the number is, the Yankees have to get this done? And if he moves on, if this homegrown talent leaves the New York Yankees, Drew, to go to San Francisco Giants or wherever he goes, is that equivalent to the fact of like legitimately Babe Ruth leaving Boston or getting traded out of Boston? Is that hyperbolic? Is that ridiculous to say?
It's not the same thing as Robinson Cano. When he left, he wasn't anointed the next Derek Jeter. He didn't have the following. He was a beloved player and he was the best second baseman in all of baseball when he left, but he wasn't the best player in all of baseball when he left, and he didn't have the season that he had before he left. Like Aaron, the whole situation with Judge is so like you could tell. It was kind of even going south in spring training when Cashman came out and said, "Hey, tried to throw him under the bus there and say, hey, we offered 7 years, $225 million, and he declined." And then Judge goes out and he has like the most ridiculous. Like you can't have a better season. It's the best offensive season non-Barry Bonds we've seen in our lifetimes.
Yes.
Since Ted Williams, since anybody currently alive has seen, so he bet on himself, and he's earned the right to shop around, and he's earned the right to do these things. But man, 10 years for the 9 years, 360, which is 40 million per, could easily turn to 10,400. 10,400 would be nuts. And on the one hand, if that's what the San Francisco Giants sign Aaron Judge to, I don't know if you could just wipe your hands and say that's too much money because you're the New York Yankees. It's not like you're some small market team. I think you have to be willing to add Aaron Judge and then be able to add other players. And, the Yankees have the financial resources, whether Hal Steinbrenner wants to admit it or not, that they have the financial resources to do so, and they should act like it. So I won't buy any type of excuse that it was too much money. The Yankees should match it. If they match it and Judge says, I don't want to be here, or I don't want to, then I feel like you can feel a little bit better about it. But if the Yankees say we didn't match what we offered to Judge, or we weren't willing to go there, then I'll be rallying people with their pitchforks and their torches, and Yankee Stadium will not be standing come baseball season. They'll have to play in the parking lot.
Yeah. And that's really leading me to the question I was about to ask you here. And I feel like that's another thing where it's not exactly parallel between deGrom and Aaron Judge. One of the common sentiments with deGrom was, well, he didn't want to be here. Why were we going to pay what we think is an overpay to a guy who didn't want to be here? Good riddance. Thank you for your time, Jacob deGrom. Go be irrelevant in Texas, right? Like that was the sentiment really that a lot of people were feeling after deGrom left. To your point, the sentiment that'll be felt by Yankee fans here is not going to be like, oh, Judge didn't want to be here. Good riddance, happy trails. See you never. It's going to be our front office and our ownership failed us. It's going to be directly directed. Wow. Great words, Peter. It's going to be directly pointed at the front office and ownership. I don't think Aaron Judge will get that much vitriol against him. I don't think there's going to be loads of Yankee fans saying, fuck Aaron Judge. This guy sucks. You betrayed us. You loser. Because they're going to say he's an adult who's from that area, who has the right after having the best season, or let's say one of the 5 best hitting seasons of all time, right? Clearly, he has the right to go out to free agency and test the market and get paid a boatload of money. He has that right. There's no reason that he should give the Yankees a hometown discount. He doesn't owe them that. He doesn't. And all that vitriol, all that anger is going to be pointed directly at Cashman, directly at Steinbrenner. And do they not care? Do they want to rebuild? Do they want to just say, hey, let's tear this thing down and start over? We'll trade Stanton. We'll trade Severino. They'll trade all the talent they have. They'll get rid of Cole and just restart. Is that the next step? Or maybe they're saying, you know what? We saw the Washington Nationals let Bryce Harper walk and win a championship right after. Now, granted, the Yankees do not have a Juan Soto hanging around town right now. Maybe they looked at the Atlanta Braves and said, Ronald Acuna Jr. was hurt when they won their World Series. Do we need Aaron Judge? Do they have the audacity, Drew, to even utter those types of thoughts, knowing how
because Giancarlo Stanton's on base percentage was 296 last year. the main other guy in the offense that was supposed to, be the 1-2 with Aaron Judge, fucking stunk last year. And so, and look around the offense. You re-signed Anthony Rizzo, who's got a back problem. You don't have any offense coming out of the catcher position. You're clearly okay with Josh Donaldson still being there. He could still get traded, but I don't see anyone picking up his $29 million that he's owed next year. Great trade there. Gleyber Torres is one of your few trade pieces. And then you have a hole in left field and Harrison Bader. So, the offense is terrible. The offense is straight garbage at the moment. I don't even know what else to say. But I will say to your point about the Mets and deGrom and this narrative that he didn't want to be there. I don't think the Mets saw that he was not healthy the last 2 years. And when he was healthy, he was one of the best pitchers in baseball. But again, he's 35 years old. I think the Texas Rangers had to give out that crazy contract to Seager and crazy contract to Simeon to get them there. I don't think deGrom was going to Texas for the same 2-3 year deal that the Mets offered him. They clearly went beyond where the Mets thought. Jacob deGrom is a great piece, and I think maybe eventually he might even get his number retired as a Met for being, winning 2 Cy Youngs and all that and being a beloved player. But at that point, I don't know if giving him 5 years was the best choice, and that
right.
sucks. But again, especially when you knew you had that option of Verlander there that you can pivot to immediately, and I knew it. I knew the second he was gone, I said there's no way they don't get Verlander. I said in the group chat, and I said it to anyone who would listen to me about that. That Cohen's not going to let him walk and then replace him with Jameson Taillon. He's going to go replace him with the guy who just won a Cy Young Award. So,
right.
I don't think he didn't want to be here. I just think that the Rangers gave him an offer that he couldn't say no to.
Right.
And I think that's fair.
Which I think is part of the reason why a lot of Mets fans took it the way they did. Again, part of it is definitely coping. Part of it is definitely saying, oh, this guy didn't want to be here. I'm putting my guard up and saying we didn't want him anyway for that many years because he's going to be hurt and blah, blah, blah. He could easily start 24 games next year and have a 2.1 ERA and be the fucking man, because that is the pitcher that he is more often than not. That could easily happen. It could also happen that Justin Verlander has a 2.5 and is very good, right? So those things are definitely possible. And again, it could be the coping mechanism. It could be the girlfriend that broke up with you when you go to college and then you tell everyone that it was mutual, right? That's how I felt it was early on. And then working with Pete Hoffman and Chris McMonagle over the weekend on The Fan, and they were, McMonagle is a big Yankee fan, Hoff's a Met fan, but McMonagle was like, what is wrong with you people? You just lost the best pitcher in baseball. You just lost this one of a generation talent, and you guys are saying happy trails, good riddance. I don't get it. I think you're going to be disappointed without him, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? I kind of needed to hear that. I needed to be reminded that I should be more upset by losing him. And that's why I told you before we started recording, I went through the 5 stages of grief. I don't know. Is it 5 stages? Is it 9 stages?
7, 5.
I went through a plethora of stages of emotions. I don't even want to call it of grief, because my initial reaction was, okay, 5 years for deGrom. That feels like a lot. That sucks. Whatever. He's gone. I'll miss him. But I'm okay. I think it's okay that they didn't give it to him. Then I heard McMonagle and I heard Hoffman. I'm like, maybe I should be a little more upset about this. And then it really turned into this hybrid situation where I am very sad to see him gone. I wish he was a Met for 2 or 3 more years. I 100% do. But it does make sense why it didn't happen. With Aaron Judge, I can't think of a reason that this guy should not be a Yankee for the next 5 to 10 years. It doesn't make sense to me, Drew, because when you think about historic Yankees, which he is very much on a path to being, if he leaves now, he's not even a historic Yankee. He had a historic 2 seasons. A historic 2 seasons, Drew. His first season that he got stripped from the MVP from Altuve, he was very good in between, and then last year was obviously even more historic. That's it. He's nothing in the pantheon of the Yankees history. I mean, I don't want to say nothing because it's not nothing, but it ain't nothing special. He had 2 amazing, amazing seasons and a couple pretty damn good ones in the middle. And that's it. No World Series appearances, no incredible, incredible playoff moments that you're going to remember about your entire life, that you're going to tell your kids about. And you're going to say, hey, that guy in San Francisco who hits 45 home runs a year, he used to be on our team, Jack. You know, I'm sorry you didn't get to see it. And I don't want to make you sad. I just got a little chill saying that. But like, that should be unacceptable. It should be an impossibility to have this man in the history of this franchise who could put himself as a top, 5 player in franchise history?
Yeah.
Is that fair? Right?
Yeah.
You talk about Babe and Lou? Sure. Derek Jeter, number 3. Pick a pitcher? Sure.
He could pass Derek Jeter. And in terms of franchise war, in terms of probably not hits, he's not getting 3,000. He was too old to be hits, right. But yeah, I think
war. No one's going to care about war, frankly. So he's not going to pass Derek Jeter, but he could have been in the realm. He could have been absolutely neck and neck. He could have been right behind Derek Jeter, who's the most beloved player in the last 50 years of the franchise, right? So he could have been in that conversation. And
he
if
still can be.
If he goes,
he didn't yet.
I'm just saying in this hypothetical where he doesn't go, where he doesn't stay, or where he does go, I should say, where he doesn't stay, he's gone. He's nothing in the history of Yankees at that point. Is that an overreaction? Is that fair to say?
No, not at all. Because even how you feel about Robinson Cano right now, like, you know, Robinson Cano was a great Yankee, and that's where the conversation. He was great for a couple of years, and you know he came up. And he won a World Series. He was even the best player on that roster when they won a World Series. He was still, you know, finding his way. And he was a great Yankee, and he was a good Yankee, and that's it. And that's where the conversation ends about Robinson Cano. If Cano would have stayed, who knows? Does he have the same path? Does he still get the steroid suspension? Does he, you know, does all that stuff still happen? You know, fallacy of the predetermined outcome and all that, but. You know, I don't think he would be in the same breath as Robinson Cano if Judge left. That, you know, say, oh, he was a great Yankee. You know, he had a great season. He had these couple great moments. But then, you know, you'll talk about Anthony Volpe, or you're talking about the next guy, you're talking about somebody else. So you know, he has the real. You know, I think if he comes back, I think he'll be named the captain. You know, he has a chance to be. You know. With Don Mattingly, the guy sitting right behind me, is a great Yankee captain, and you know, continue being part of that legacy. So it's a matter of him being shown the love that he feels like he deserves, and I feel like San Francisco is going out of its way to really show that, like, hey, you know, we want you here. We definitely want you here. You know, can they build a winner around him? Because San Francisco, if you take a look at their team right now, their starting first baseman, I think, is J.D. Davis at the moment. So, and their starting third baseman is Wilmer Flores. You want to throw some names, some
ex-Met greats,
some ex-Mets here. You know, it's not knocked over my microphone because I'm so excited about the San Francisco Giants. You know, it's not a great team. He would go to a team that, you know, they just got Mitch Haniger, sure, but their number 3 hitter is Jock Peterson, and again, J.D. Davis is batting cleanup right now with Mike Yastrzemski. Like, it's not a good team.
Yeah, and this has to be. Let's be honest here too, right? This has to be an agonizing decision for Aaron Judge, right? Because I'm sure in his head he knows all these things we're saying. He's not stupid. He's well aware of all the things that he can have being a Yankee. With that being said, he doesn't owe them a discount. You don't play hardball with the best player in baseball. You don't do it. You give them the biggest contract of all time. That's what you do. He's 31 years old. He ain't 35. You signed players before that their contract was going to go too far. You figure it the hell out later. And maybe this is a baseball problem. Maybe this is one of the bigger problems with baseball about how rookie contracts work and how arbitration works and how these players don't get to free agency until they're 31, 32. Like, you look at Spot Rack right now and you go through all the free agents, the youngest free agents are 29. Like, that's the youngest guys that are out there, right? There's the occasional people like Soto and Trout and whatever, who come up when they're 19 years old, who hit free agency at a reasonable time in their life. Every other player is going to hit free agency at 30, 31, 32. And maybe that's the problem. And maybe it's the fact that you have to give to these players 10-year deals. You have to at this point. That's what the market says, right? Like if football actually doesn't really have the strict cap on years, right? Like Patrick Mahomes signed a 10-year deal that they didn't overpay for because they know they're going to restructure it whenever the time comes or whatever. But in basketball, 5 years is the max. 5 years if you stay with your team. Does baseball need something like that? Because does that simplify it for all these teams that are losing some of their best players? Like Aaron Judge might not want to leave the Yankees that bad, but he might not want to feel like he's got to play hardball with this franchise that's supposed to be his home.
And it could be just a souring of the relationship with Cashman. There was the report out there that he really didn't appreciate Cashman going out and telling him the number that he turned down in spring training. Like that was
right.
clearly
and then
a
he
move
pissed
by
all over that number. Every line drive that he pissed on that number a little bit more.
Yeah. You don't go out there and try to make Aaron Judge look greedy. And that's the funny part. People were calling Aaron Judge greedy for turning down that extension, but now he might earn close to double what the Yankees are going to offer. He's going to blow that. He's going to earn himself an extra $100 and something million just by going out there and just showing out. Like, man,
Yeah.
like that could be it too. This could be just him playing absolute hardball with the Yankees, saying like, that was a real dick move. You know what I'm going to do back? I'm going to make it seem like I'm going to San Francisco. Arson Judge going to be this close. I could be one character away on Twitter from going to the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah. 100%. And you know what? If the Yankees feel like they want to play hardball, then he should too. That's what I'm saying. And I think Yankee fans are smart enough to realize that, which is why I don't think Yankee fans are out here, smack talking Judge and saying, "Oh, how selfish can you be?" I'm not hearing that, Drew. Are you hearing that?
No.
Let me ask you this before we talk about some of the other stuff about this team and some of the other players that, you hope to get before we go back to Judge again later. Like, what is the sentiment right now amongst Yankee fans, on Reddit, on the group chats, on the Twitters, whatever? What is the sentiment that you're seeing?
It's, they have to resign him. They have to. And if he goes, it's not a Judge problem. It's a Brian Cashman and a Hal Steinbrenner problem. And that's all, there were other reports early in the offseason that, Steinbrenner didn't like the fact that he got booed during Derek Jeter's ceremony. That he doesn't like that he's called cheap. If you let Aaron Judge walk, you're gonna get called cheap. You're gonna get booed.
And called much worse than that.
Yeah, you're gonna get booed until you sell the team eventually, because it's just unacceptable. So every person that most of Yankees Twitter, the reasonable ones, not the people who sit in the cars,
right.
Their profile pictures of them in the cars and the sunglasses, those type of people.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones that are saying that, I work as a farmer and I'll never see that money in my lifetime. Those are those people. But
right.
Any reasonable Yankee fan said, will put the blame solely on Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner if Aaron Judge is a San Francisco Giants at the end of all of this.
Right. And you know what? And if they don't re-sign Judge, which we're kind of treating this like a little bit like a doomsday. I kind of wish Alec was here because I feel like he's really doing some mental gymnastics to stay positive here. Even he's still feeling the heat a little bit, as I can tell from some of his verbiage in the group chat, that he's feeling the heat. But what would have to happen if Judge doesn't re-sign for Yankee fans to get over it? It would have to be a World Series contender in the next 2 years, 3 years, right? Because maybe you would accept a rebuild, but the Yankees don't really rebuild. That's not something that they do. And if they want to become that team, they might as well change their name to the freaking Mets, right? Like, they might as well not be the Yankees anymore, because that's not who you are. I've been saying this for years now. The Dodgers are the Yankees. The Dodgers are the Yankees of the MLB right now. It's not even debatable at this point in time. So with that being said, let's take a break from the Judge talk for just a minute here, Drew. There are other players out there. You had your wish list coming into, this weekend here, where I quickly responded like, wait, who's the GM and who's the owner here? Like, what are you talking about? And you're like, no, this is not what I expect to happen. This is what I wish would happen if the Yankees were actually the Yankees. So talk about maybe pie in the sky view of some of these other players that are out there that you would like to see them go after, and then maybe the more realistic view of what you think Cashman might do.
Definitely on the offensive side, I definitely think pie in the sky. Aaron Hicks and Josh Donaldson have to be packaged with some prospects. The Yankees will hopefully would absorb a little bit of the money, but get some of those dollars off the books for now and then in future years, because Aaron Hicks is still signed for like another 4 years, which is ridiculous. What a terrible extension that turned out to be. And the main target offensively, who I think would be perfect for the Yankees, is Brian Reynolds, who came out recently and said that he wants to, he wants to get traded. So I think that
From the Pirates, by the way,
from the Pirates, yes, from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Center fielder, plays left field on occasion, plays center field on occasion, but mostly left field, which is exactly what he needs. Switch hitter, he's got power, great contact, doesn't strike out a lot. Basically, exactly the type of player the Yankees need, and they definitely have the prospect capital to acquire such a player. I think that you can still hold on to Volpe, but you probably have to get rid of Dominguez and Peraza for him. But if that's the price to pay to get a really great hitter who's going to be under team control for another 3 years, that you can put it right in and right behind Judge theoretically if he comes back. So I think that's the main target. I definitely wanted them to sign one of the shortstops that were out on the market here. Trey Turner was my guy, and shortly after I sent that text, he gets the 11-year deal for Philadelphia, who are just spending, just making it rain this offseason so far with getting Taijuan Walker as well. So, watch out for the Phillies.
Yeah, they were just in a World Series. They smelled blood, and they're sending it full send.
Mm-hmm.
They got Castellanos, they got Bryce Harper, they got some dudes who can mash. They got Trey Turner, one of the best infielders in baseball.
Yep.
One of the best players in baseball, perhaps?
Yeah, absolutely one of the best players, one of the best shortstops in the game of baseball. So now that he's gone, I guess I would say go out and get Xander Bogaerts and go have him play third base. That would, again, pie in the sky world here. And then you go out and I think it was also go out and get Rondon, and then go out and get Tommy Tight Pants, which the Yankees actually went and did. Yeah. I had Canely as the reliever I wanted the Yankees to pick up because he came back pretty strong from Tommy John surgery out with the Dodgers, and he had his changeup was pretty unreal, and I think the Yankees were kind of one reliever away last year, so now they replaced Chad Green and Scott Efros, kind of who was there, who they had set up last year. So that's pie in the sky. That's the Yankees spending a boatload of money. That's the Yankees, making trades and being aggressive, which I don't think that's going to be the case.
And before you get into that, you didn't mention Carlos Correa. Is there a reason for that?
I just don't think that Carlos Correa would be willing to play third base. That's one thing. And I don't know. I just don't. I don't see him even though he's not going to cost a draft pick, even though because the Astros put the qualifying offer on him last year, so you can't give him a qualifying offer again. So he won't cost you any kind of draft pick compensation. But I fully expect the Dodgers to go out and get Carlos Correa. So that was really part of the reason why I didn't say him as well.
Okay, that makes sense. I didn't know if it was like a Houston Astros thing.
No,
like that you guys.
No, there's a bunch of players who have left the Astros since 2017, and I feel like when you leave the team, like no one talks about George Springer like being like part of that team anymore. He's been in Toronto for 2 years now, and the person who gets the brunt of the 2017 and the Astro stuff are people that are still there. It's Altuve, it's Bregman.
Right.
It's not going to be Verlander anymore. So, There's only like 3 or 4 guys left on that team that were part of that 2017 squad. So it's not an Astros thing. That's just to be clear.
That was 5 years ago, man.
Yeah, crazy.
5 years ago is when this all started, right? And that was really the takeoff point for Aaron Judge, if you will, as well, right? So that was the takeoff point for Aaron Judge's career. Now it's been 5 years, and the Yankees have nothing to show for it. They
Nope.
might even have.
They haven't even gotten as close to as they were. In 2017 was the peak, and that's the crazy part.
That is
the absolute peak, being one game away from the World Series. They haven't even gotten to one game. They haven't even gotten to a Game 7 in the ALCS since. So
yeah. And now, what's the more realistic view of the Cashman view, if you will?
The Cashman view is we're going to get told that they still believe in Josh Donaldson's bat and they like what he brings defensively to the team. I do think Aaron Hicks is going to be a goner solely for the reason that he gains 10-5 rights. And if you don't know what that is, it's if you were in the league for 10 years as a Major League Baseball player and you spend 5 of those with the same team, you automatically get the ability to veto any trade. You basically get a no trade clause into your contract if that's the case. And he gets those rights, I think, around July. So even if he's on the opening day roster, he will not be with the team and to get that ability because the Yankees don't want to be stuck with him for another 3 years. So I fully expect Aaron Hicks to not be on this roster when you go. If we're talking about realistic, I still think that the Yankees will sign Judge, but then I think there's not going to be much spending after that. I don't think Rondon's coming. I don't think that they'll sign, a shortstop. I feel like they'll make some trades, some under the radar trades that I can't think of. And then maybe they'll re-sign Tyone if they do sign a pitcher, but they're not going to go out there and spend the mega deal, the mega dollars after re-signing Aaron Judge. If they lose Judge, then I can go see, them go after Correa. And that's the crazy part is that you can't, you have all these holes in the outfield and the only players that are going to be worth, worth any kind of value are shortstops who you passed on last year because you wanted to keep the kids. So it's not really the best position to be in if you're the Yankees. And like the best other free agent outfielder that's out there right now is Brandon Nimmo. So I guess you would pivot to Nimmo and like Bogarts or Cray or somebody like that. And then, I don't know. Just hope that people don't throw stuff onto the field on opening day at that point.
If they show up at all, really.
Yeah.
Right? So, and now I just saw this tweet as I have Aaron Judge, loaded up here on the tweet deck to constantly just refresh automatically. The last time that both Cy Young and MVP award winners changed teams in the same offseason was 30 years ago. 30 years ago. So Verlander already changed teams, but 30 years ago, Barry Bonds in 1992 and Greg Maddux in 1992 both left their teams from Pittsburgh to San Francisco. And then where was Maddux before the Braves? I don't even know.
Chicago.
There you go. So that was 30 years ago. And we're on the precipice of that possibility again here. And to talk about that whole view again with the Yankees and their outlook, right? Like you're still feeling positively here about Judge returning. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I fully expect them to not let Judge walk. Again, this is maybe this is me being, wanting to wish something into like existence. Being the Yankee fan that I am, but I can't see them doing it because if it got to this point and these crazy numbers are going out there, I feel like the Yankees would have pivoted already to something else and made sure that they weren't left, holding nothing, with their dick in their hand is the term, that I was looking for. So if that was the case, I feel like they would have pivoted already.
Right.
Again, I'm looking at Twitter to say, refreshing just as much as you are. I got MLB Network on and the TV right beyond my computer screen here. So I'm waiting for it to happen. So I still fully expect for Judge to come back, but I'm just not sure the Yankees have the intestinal fortitude to continue to add payroll when they desperately need to, in addition to Aaron Judge.
Mm-hmm. And maybe that's part of it too, right? Maybe they're saying to themselves, if we give this contract to Judge, our hands are tied now.
Which they shouldn't be, which is stupid, which is dumb, which is stupid.
Very stupid. But that might be what they're saying. That might be the internal conversation right now, which you need to reiterate, and I'll reiterate for you, is stupid. It's very stupid. So I don't agree with that, but maybe that's what they're thinking, and they're thinking that they could create some sort of, winning roster or championship level roster without
the money around.
Again,
they did it with Robinson Cano, and they spent it terribly.
They've actually spent money pretty poorly in the last 10 years, right? Like the Garrett Cole things worked out pretty well, but what have been the other big free agent or big trade acquisitions that worked out? Like Stanton's worked out pretty well. It could have worked out a lot better, but overall still a trade that you're fine with.
Well, I don't know about that. See, I don't know about that either, because the options, the reason why they pivoted to Stanton, because they were said, oh, we don't want to pay Bryce Harper next offseason, 2019. He's going to have some ridiculous contract, but Harper's making like $2 million more than Stanton is at the moment, and he's like double the player that Giancarlo Stanton is. So I mean, it's worked out because he's been crazy hot in the postseason, and for the most part, he hasn't been terrible, but man, I am not confident on his ability to remain productive going forward, or at least in the player who the Yankees thought they were getting. They thought they were getting the 57 home run NL MVP version of Giancarlo Stanton, and they're getting the slightly better than league average Giancarlo Stanton, which is still a good player, just not the guy you kind of expected to.
Yeah, in his first year with the Yankees, he played 158 games. Can you even fathom Giancarlo Stanton playing over 140 games right now? Like that's so he played, since he was a Yankee, he played 158 in 2018. Then he went 18 in 2019, 23 games in 2020. That was the COVID year, so I guess it doesn't really. 2021, 139, pretty good. You'll take that. And then 110 last year, not great, especially with the 211 batting average, right? So, maybe it didn't work out. You're right. I guess I'm thinking of some of those big moments in the playoffs here. And again,
he's still above average player, just not the superstar that the Yankees thought they were getting when they traded for him.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And who else have they signed or traded for? That was a big move.
See, that's the thing though. When they got Garrett Cole that one off season, that was it. They didn't do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
When they let Robinson Cano walk and they spread the money around, who did they go out and sign? They signed Carlos Beltran. They signed Brian McCann and Tanaka. Tanaka worked out, but yes. McCann and Beltran certainly did not. So, like, if you have the opportunity to get a superstar level player, like, that's the guys you get. Those type of guys rarely burn you. It's those B-level guys that you overpay for. Those are the guys that burn you. Those are the guys that the Aaron Hickses of the world, giving that extension to Luis Severino at the time seemed like it was okay, but he was hurt. He was hurt for like the next 3 years of that extension. So that didn't exactly work out in the Yankees' favor either. So it doesn't seem like any kind of type of move that the Yankees have been doing the last couple of years has really worked out, whether it's the Sonny Gray trade or the Frankie Montas trade, they've had their hits too. They turned Didi Gregorius into somebody's never heard of, into an above average shortstop. They've been able to develop hitters to a certain extent, Luke Voigt and some others, but man, you can't. I don't know. I really don't know.
All with nothing to show for it, basically, though.
Yeah,
right? For all the cute seasons they had, and I say cute with tongue in cheek, obviously, all those seasons that were good seasons, and we've talked about this at nauseum, right? Like these 100-win seasons, these 95-win seasons, they're nice, but what's the ceiling? Like you said, their best season now in recent history was 2017. It's been a long time here since they were in a World Series. It's been too long for every single Yankee fan. If they had the choice of how long, if it's been too long, they'll say it's been too long, right? So I don't even know really what more to say at this point because we've said our piece. Like there is every reason in the world to maintain and retain Aaron Judge on the New York Yankees. The only reason to let him go is pride and being cheap. That is it. There's no other way to skin this cat. Because if he is even good for 5 out of the 9 years or 5 out of the 10 years, you figure it out. You figure it out down the road.
Again,
how many teams have given out bad contracts in their lifetimes and they're fine? They didn't go bankrupt. They didn't go under. The Mets are still paying people they gave bad contracts to, right? Like what?
And that's the thing too. And this core of players, again, you have 2 or 3 years left of Garrett Cole being an ace level pitcher. Some Yankee fans might argue that he's not an ace level pitcher right now. I would say I would disagree with that sentiment, but I think he has another 2-3 years left of being an ace level pitcher. Giancarlo Stanton, despite the down year, again, he's only got a couple more years left of where you would expect an above average major league player. You signed Anthony Rizzo back to a 2-year deal with a third year option. So the next 3 years, unless Volpe comes up and be's the superstar that everyone's kind of hyping him up to be, like that's it for this core of Yankees. Like this is kind of it here. So if Aaron Judge is not a part of it, then man, if you're not willing to go for it now, it's just like what were you even doing here? What is the point? Then you might as well have that conversation of should we blow this up and start over, because there isn't a point. There isn't, like, if you can't retain the best player in baseball right now and add and go for it, then what are we even doing here?
And if Aaron Judge decides to leave the New York Yankees, what does that say to other players and other stars in the league, right? Like it's always been this special thing, this privilege to be a New York Yankee, right? And if other players around the league are saying they couldn't even do Aaron Judge right, like they couldn't even handle Aaron Judge, the guy who we all see as our peer, as the best player in baseball, they couldn't get him right. Why am I going there? What is the point of who is the other guy that not Trey Turner? You said Xander Bogaerts. Why is Xander Bogaerts doing that? He's already seen Boston get rid of Mookie Betts because they didn't want to pay him for so long, right? Mm-hmm. And he's going to go to the Yankees where they're not going to pay Aaron Judge to stay there long. Why is he going to choose them, right? At that point, are they even a market and a franchise that is a place that players want to be? Because it's always been a place that players are dying to go, to earn their stripes, to win championships, to be the best of the best. And if you can't get Aaron Judge right, why would any other star player ever choose the Yankees in the near future?
It's very much, in the same sentiment of how the Yankees are still trying to trot out, retire Paul O'Neill's number this year. They're trying to trot out these 90s Yankees and say we're still these Yankees. Remember the good times that we had 10 20 years ago. You remember that? You remember those teams you grew up with, and they remember being the Yankees? Like, there's a reason that Carlos Correa left the Astros and signed with the Minnesota Twins, because he was talking with, like, an interview. It's like, why would you go to the Twins? He's just like, they're paying there's good food anywhere across the country. Me and my wife, we can buy a house. They're giving us money. The money's the same anywhere. We can basically, you can live. You can have a great life anywhere else outside of, you can have a great life in New York City, but you can also have a great life in Minnesota. You can have a great life out in California. You can have a great life in Seattle. You could, like, if you're getting that much money, like, where you live and where you choose to be, it's not. There's not a selling point here anymore. Like, the Yankees being this franchise of winning, like, yeah, they haven't had a losing season in 20 something years, which is impressive, but at the same time, you can't continue to bump your chest saying we're the big bad Yankees when The Astros have won 2 World Series since the last time you won one. The Red Sox have won 2 or 3 World Series in the last 20 years, and you've won one. There's not, the Yankees aren't the Yankees anymore, and that's it sucks to say, because again, I devote way more of my life and my energy into this team that frankly hasn't deserved it in a long time. But man, it's not the place where it's not where it used to be. It's still a franchise. It's still better than going to Pittsburgh. It's still better than going to a lot of teams. If you want to say we'll be in it, and I think they to a certain extent they always will be, but they're not the there's 27 rings thing. It's becoming more of a truth than like a funny saying that Yankee fans say. It's becoming more of a reality of this desperate. We won 27 championships. Like you're not that team anymore. They haven't been that team in a long time.
You're not that guy, pal.
You're not that guy. You're not that guy.
It sucks that we have to be so negative right now, but when this is all up in the air, that's really the only place that you can go. Like, what are we going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Sit here and say how good Aaron Judge is and that we need to bring him back? Yeah, we all know that. That's why we're here with the amount of energy and the amount of frustration that we have. I'm not even a damn Yankee fan. I'm not even a freaking Yankee fan, man. Like, yes, I do kind of root for them just because I like New York sports to be interesting, and I don't hate most of their players. I like Aaron Judge. I love Aaron Judge. He's great. He's great, right? But like even me, a non-Yankee fan who doesn't care about their legacy, who wants to throw up when I hear fans talk about the Yankees and how great their franchise is and the 27. If I want to throw up right now when I hear stuff like that. But that all being said, I understand what is important for the city. I understand what is important for baseball. Like, what happens to Aaron Judge in San Francisco? Is it going to be exciting? Is it going to be special? Is it going to be no different than any other good player in the league continuing to be good somewhere? I don't know. I don't know.
You'll find out on opening day, because the Giants are in Yankee Stadium on opening day this year.
Stop. Are you serious?
Swear to God.
That's incredible. How do they do that? How do
Wizards, bro? Wizards, they know, man. Like,
wait,
so it's the same people who
are in Yankee Stadium.
In Yankee Stadium on opening day this year.
Probably never played opening day at Yankee Stadium.
No, never.
It's probably never happened before.
No, not since they were in New York.
Right, since they were the New York Giants. And even still, that was probably not even that, because there was no interleague play back then. Mm-hmm. It's probably never happened. That's nuts. Just like how Deshaun Watson's first start as a Cleveland Brown was in Houston. Who's doing this? Who's making this happen?
That was a weird thing with Deshaun Watson. 11-game suspension just so happened to be. Oh man, look at the schedule. They're playing the Browns on national television. Who would have thought?
Who would have freaking thought? God damn. Oh, God. All right. Well, anyways, we've been through a lot of this. Let's go through one more thing here, because I think that there is an arc somewhere to talk through with this, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Everyone's reading the tea leaves of Cashman and Steinbrenner's every single comment, every breath that they take that's visible to the public, right? And there were points of their comments that made you feel good about them doing what they had to do and spending and taking care of business and yada, yada. But there's also been now, especially in the past 24 hours, more comments that have led you and many Yankee fans around town to say, oh God, are they backtracking? Are they really feeling confident that they're going to get him back? Are they willing to actually go above and beyond? So with all the Hal Steinbrenner quotes and Cashman quotes that are out there, Cashman was on Yes Network, what was that, earlier today? What are you reading into from the comments of your GM and owner?
And I'm scrolling through the group chat as you want to read my progression here. Cashman, we would love to land the plane favorably, but we're not flying the plane. And I said, I'm not loving this quote. And the next one was, we're trying to make sure that it's to make it hard for him to leave. Brian Cashman. And then I said, I'm really not loving this quote. And then the next one, Brian Cashman said he hasn't received any indication from Judge's camp that the Yankees will get a chance to match or surpass any offer that comes their way. I'm really not loving this quote. Really, really not loving this quote. And then the last one is, listen, if Aaron Judge signs elsewhere, do we pivot and do something else? Do we remake ourselves completely? I have no idea. It's not what we want to do. End quote. Like, God. No, it doesn't. This doesn't. Nothing that he said in the last 12 hours, 12 to 24 hours gives me any kind of confidence whatsoever.
And now I hope, Andrew, I hope that by tomorrow or Thursday that this podcast is irrelevant. I really do. I hope that no one clicks on it, or if they do, they're saying, what are these two idiots talking about? I hope that that's the case. I really do, because I want him in New York. I do. Now, will I chuckle on the side just a little bit? Just a little bit that the Yankee fans are going to be all sad and crying about Aaron Judge leaving? Yes, I'm going to chuckle a little bit.
That's because you're a bad person.
That's because I'm a bad guy. It's because I want to see my friends in pain, and specifically Alec. I want to see the mental gymnastics that he plays with himself in order to make this a positive somehow.
The mental gymnastics, he'll qualify for the Olympics with the gymnastics he'll do. He'll be the number one. He'll go for the gold.
Yeah. Oh my God. Right. So I hope that this podcast is irrelevant in 24 hours. I do. That being said, I don't feel good about it.
No. And much as you shouldn't feel good about the Mets bullpen situation.
I don't feel good about that either. I don't. I'm not at all. Feel bad about it, actually. I feel bad about it. I work at the high school, and there's one football player in particular that's a huge Mets fan, like diehard Mets fan. I saw him last night on Monday evening at the football awards dinner. Great day. And I see him, and he's like, dude, don't even talk to me. He's like, don't even talk to me. I'm like, are you still upset about deGrom? He's like, yes. But now I'm more upset that Trey Turner's on the Phillies, bro. He's going to kill us for years. What are we doing? Like, and he's so upset. So, like, I'm feeling that pain 100%. I'm with my man C. But I think maybe when Judge leaves, like, I'll just be like, all you Yankee fans getting your jabs in, Jacob DeGrom, like, you better be careful where you're throwing your jabs out here, Yankee fans, because not just Mets fans you have to worry about. The whole MLB is on your ass about not retaining the best player in baseball. The whole MLB, the whole sporting world is on your ass. You're going to have people who never talk about baseball for more than 2 seconds in a 365-day year on national television. When this takes place, and if he leaves, you're going to have every single pundit across America shitting all over the New York Yankees and their organization. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be a disaster. And does that mean that it's a guarantee that your franchise sucks for the next 5 years? No. There is still a way for the Yankees to be competitive and win 90 games and whatever. Maybe they get hot. Who the hell knows? But you are going to get dragged by every person who you've never heard even mention baseball once in their life over the next couple days if this doesn't go your way.
Yep. I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that sentiment whatsoever.
Yeah. And lastly, I got to say this. Man, like Cashman, I've always looked at him as a really smart dude. I've always said, in Cashman, you trust, right? It's been a sentiment that many Yankee fans have uttered. And now, over the past couple of years, many Yankee fans have resented that idea. And they've hated that idea because they haven't liked what he's done. But hearing those comments, man, like you said, you don't feel good about it. I really don't feel good about it. I really, really don't feel good about it. How can you go on your network that you own and not come out with some sort of stronger take?
Yeah, that's like state-run TV. That's like someone going on like Fox News and like saying something remotely liberal. Like like you're on state-run TV. Like be positive. Say something about 27 rings while you're on there. Like the Yankee winning way, man. Like the pessimistic views that he came on there with was like, it was surprising. It was very surprising.
You work in research for a television network, right? Like I worked in that same television network for years. That's how we know each other. Even when numbers were bad, right?
Yeah.
You find a way to make that sales pitch. You find a way to make the research look good, to give your salespeople something to sell, right? And now he's out here saying, well, it's not what we want, but we're going to try to make it hard on them. It's hard on him no matter what. It's hard on him no matter what. Even if the Yankees didn't even offer him a freaking contract and they offered him the original 275, whatever. Maybe that is only thing that would have made it not hard, right? If they made anything in the 300 million category, it's going to be hard on him because you don't think he's considering taking a discount to stay in New York. He knows what's at stake. Like I said earlier, he's not stupid. He knows what's at stake. So this is hard on him no matter what. He's leaving the team that's the most famous franchise in the sport. It's hard on him no matter what. You're not making it harder. You're making it easier right now, guy. You're not helping yourself at all. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know what else. I don't really know what else to say. So if you have anything else to say, Drew, please say it. Speak now or forever something about
I'm waiting for I've been talking around in circles waiting for this news to drop, but unfortunately we're not going to have breaking news talking on the podcast this week, but do you want to talk quick talk about the Mets before we go, or
no,
No,
I don't. What are we going to say? They need to get like 4 more arms in the bullpen. They need to get a couple more hitters. They need to finish the rotation. Like, yeah, they need to do it. They need to do it. And guess what? Their owner's going to try.
Yeah.
Their owner's going to try.
More than what Hal Steinbrenner is going to do.
Yeah. Steve Cohen and Epler, who Mets fans are a little lukewarm on right now, right? They're a little bit lukewarm, saying, okay, this guy came from the Angels. Like, should we trust him? He didn't do anything for the Angels. Like, I don't know. Or Steve Cohen, is he going to spend the money smart? Is he going to actually close his wallet a little bit? Whatever. We can say all those things. It looks like the Mets are going to try to get better because they understand they have a window right now. And Steve Cohen understands that he said he has a 5-year window to be a championship team. Right. So I think right now with the Mets and all the holes they have to fill, we can sit here confidently and say they're going to try. They may not get every player they want. They may not get the best player at every position. They're going to put something out there that makes some semblance of sense and makes them, I don't know, as good as they were last year or a little bit worse or a little bit better. But it's nothing really to like sit here and like cry about or, nitpick too much when you have this other thing across town to worry about. So I don't really have much to say. Do you have anything to say about the Mets?
No. I hope that they re-sign Nimmo.
Me too.
I feel like letting him walk would be probably just as bad as letting deGrom walk, to be completely honest with you, because he's a great leadoff hitter, I feel like he's really loved on in that clubhouse and that team. So I feel like losing him would be a big shot to the offense, and there's not really a whole lot of guys that you can replace with him on the free agent market unless you're going to kind of piecemeal it together here. And the Mets need as much offense. Not as much offense as the Yankees, because they have, Beatty and Alvarez are going to be up there, giving the Mets a offensive punch next year that they didn't have for most of this year. So, I feel like you feel a little bit better about the Mets offense than the Yankees, but they definitely still need help, and they definitely still need to re-sign him and maybe even somebody else for third base. Maybe they can convince Bogarts or somebody else to come play third base for them, but they'll have to play around. I don't think they're going to run a $300 million payroll as much as Uncle Steve says he wants to. But I feel like Escobar or somebody else will get traded to create a little bit more room for him.
Yeah, I agree. I think the idea that he's going to come out here and just blow up the payroll to an abnormal amount is way pie in the sky, and that's okay. Because, like, you could argue, should he spend all that money in one shot, right? Or should he spread it out and figure it out over time, wait for a trade opportunity, get the next, not the next Juan Soto, but the next Juan Soto type player who's looking for a trade mid-season rather than spend just because you have money to spend on players who aren't that good, right? So I think that's very, very fair of an assessment, right? Like, you look at some of these players who are expected some of the higher market values, Carlos Correa doesn't really make sense, right? Like, some of these guys, even like you said, Bogarts has to move positions. Some of these guys don't even really make sense for the team who are actually the free agents that you want to pay up for right now. So again, I don't know. That's why I'm saying I'm fine right now as a Mets fan. I know there's a ton of holes. I know they have to do a lot of work here, but I'm not sitting here refreshing Twitter as a Mets fan every day, because I know something is going to happen over the next week or so, or whatever it's going to be. And whether it's Rodon, who's going to be nice to grab in the rotation, or if you bring back Bassett, Nimmo's the only one that I really care about specifically, right? Everything else is kind of up in the air because there's options. So that's how I feel as a Mets fan.
Okay, that's fair. It's fair.
Yeah. So that's it, man. I don't know.
You got your herd out of the way already. You know, the Yankee fans are just hanging on by a thread here, waiting to see if we're gonna get hurt as well.
Yeah, and I gotta just put this out here. Since it's now 11:05, we're an hour into the podcast. I think I said in the open that it is 10:04. So now it's 11:05 p.m. Tuesday night. Still no Judge. And Andrew, I cannot wait around midnight or whenever I post this episode. I click save on my little podcast thing or my YouTube page. I click save, and then I get the tweet, and I get 100 text messages, and Aaron Judge signed somewhere. I'm gonna be very. That's the only thing right now, Drew, that can really upset me, if I'm being honest. Do I still post it? I think if he goes to the Giants, I still post it.
And I think we gotta make like a little intro saying like, "Hey guys, we fucked up." And
yes, which I'll definitely do.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
anyways, should be good, pal.
Anyways, this was a good episode for what it was worth. At least it was fun, even if it was angsty and frustrating a little bit. Drew, any last words for our listeners before we go by?
No, man, no.
Left it all out there. You left it all on the field already.
Yep.
I like that. Yeah, for me, I just want to say, normally we'd be talking football or basketball at this point.
The Jumps camp has spoken internally about hoping that negotiations for a new contract will be done soon. The Yankees described today as a frenzied day, but also said they believe that no final decision has been made. Okay, so nothing.
There we go.
Yeah,
all right.
So no, nothing.
This podcast remains relevant. This podcast remains relevant for now. Okay. So we normally talk football or basketball this part of the week. Week 14 in the NFL. Got more games to talk about. We got picks coming up towards the end of the week. Of course, 3 winning weeks for all of us this week. So I went 3-2. Pat Boyle went 3-2. Mark Shenlugan went 3-2. So that's a nice week for the boys. And we'll be back, man. Talking hoops, talking football. That's the time of the year. And we'll obviously be talking Yankees, Aaron Judge, and the Mets, even if there's some big news anytime soon. So, Drew, I thank you for spending some time. I hope you're getting good sleep with the baby. And
that's debatable.
Is Jack a toddler? Is that the
yes? The toddler is the correct term. Yes,
you got a toddler and an infant. So I wish you luck. I wish you sleep, and I hope Aaron Judge doesn't keep you up at night.
It's one thing that's not keeping me up at night currently is Aaron Judge, but yeah. So I gotta go relieve my wife of the babysitting duties. She was kind enough to allow me to podcast this evening, so I appreciate you, Lisa.
Yes.
Thank you.
Shout out to Lisa. A big shout out to Lisa. So thank you, Drew. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Subscribe to Subway Sports Talk on Apple Podcast app and Spotify. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review on your podcast apps as well. Subscribe, hit the notification bell on YouTube so you know when we post new videos. We'll be back with picks at the end of the week, and maybe, if we're lucky, we'll be able to be back sooner than that to talk Aaron Judge. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cheers.
See ya.